All right, guys, happy Friday. We've got a treat here on Locked On Vols today. Juan Ward. You've seen him on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter. You've probably seen him on the news. It's a sensation growing here in East Tennessee and really Vol Nation. We're going to talk to Carlos Lopez here on today's show, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. It's a good Friday to you, everybody. Appreciate you for joining us here today on Locked On Vols. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And this episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started today. And with the Super Bowl on Sunday, there's a lot of stuff there, from prop bets to spread to money line, all that good stuff. You can check it out over at FanDuel.com/LockedOn. All right, guys, like I said, segments 1 and 2 today, we're going to catch up with my guy, Carlos. We go way back. I'm going to bring him on here in just a moment, but you've probably seen it around social media. It's been creating a whole lot of buzz and something that is growing, some momentum here in terms of course, the Tennessee football fan base, but that of the Latin American community and some Spanish broadcasts. So I'm really excited to bring on Carlos here on today's show. That's coming up here in a moment. And then lastly, in segment number 3, I'm going to play part of my interview when I caught up with Tennessee baseball coach Tony Vitello. A week from today, Tennessee baseball gets going against Arizona and Phoenix. So really, really looking forward to that. Appreciate you guys for watching, subscribing to the channel, listening wherever you find your podcast. Without further ado, let's bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Carlos Juan Ward, Carlos Lopez. What's up, buddy?
¿Cómo están a todos? Muy buenas tardes a todos los que están escuchando, a todos los latinoamericanos que están escuchando este segmento. Qué placer de estar con ustedes aquí. Y muchas gracias por todo el apoyo. Did you understand any of that, Eric?
Not a word. No, you got to slow it down for me, all right?
Man, what a blessing it is to be right here on your show, man. Thank you. And, to all the listeners, and especially to my Latin American community. I appreciate everybody's support so far. God has been moving, and it's been a blessing.
All right, man. So before we get into kind of what you're doing right now, I do want to have a little exercise with you. I told him, hey, me and Carlos, we go way back, all right? So tell me this right now. What did we call the workout group at Carson Newman when it was just like 3 or 4 of us there in May?
Mayflowers.
What about June?
Did I ever go in June? Because I remember that. Was it the June Bugs?
Yes, that's the easiest one. And then July, what was that called?
If I remember the older guys, July Slums or something like that. What was it?
So you got the Mayflowers, you got the June Bugs, and then you got Monster Trucks.
Monster Trucks. That's right. That's
July.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Some of my earliest memories, man, of knowing you was when I was like, just got out of high school and I was a local guy, so I could go to those workouts. And there was probably 10, 15 of us there in May, and it was a bunch of me. It was me and just a bunch of older guys, and you and K-Day every Friday morning at like 5:30 in the morning. Y'all were singing that Friday song, and I'm like, who are these weirdos? But it was you, man, and Kevin Day, man. Those were some fun times.
It was. I do remember in that class. I think we came in, K-Day or the Unicoi High School coach Drew Rice.
Yeah.
In that class of 2008, I think we had like 100 guys that signed in that class, and then it was just like a handful of us that was able to graduate and finish out that Carson Newman program, which I was truly blessed to be a part of. In 2008, my freshman year there, I gave my life to Christ. August the 4th of 2008, right before we started camp, and Carson Newman was great. Carson Newman was a great experience to live out a dream that an 11-year-old boy that came from Venezuela that knew nothing about American football to start a new journey, if I may, right here at good old Seymour High School in Tennessee, to go on and play for a powerhouse Division II program that we were at that time. And, I hope that it continues to build on to be what Carson Newman used to be. I love my time at Carson Newman.
Yeah, it's the best, man. So many great memories. And that's why I kind of wanted to start there. You come to America when you're 11, Seymour High School, played football and started kicking, played soccer, of course. And then you come to Carson Newman. You kicked there for 4 years. You spend one season at MTSU, correct?
Sure did. One season at
MTSU, and then when you're done playing football and kicking footballs through the uprights, you go into the teaching role and you're teaching, Spanish and English as a second language, all that type of stuff. You've been doing that for quite some time, and you've been coaching. You've been at Alcoa for a little bit. Before that, you were, forgive me, you were at another school, but you've been in Knox County teaching and coaching for about the last decade, right?
That's right. That's right. After Middle Tennessee, like we were talking about, I was blessed enough to, because of the whole Spanish situation at Carson Newman, I was able to take a placement exam, and I was able to graduate early. And I guess back in the day, the transfer portal is not as what the transfer portal is now.
Yeah.
So being able to graduate undergrad from Carson Newman, I had an extra year of eligibility, and I did go on to Middle Tennessee State University. And after that, blessed enough to be able to play in the Arena Football League in the 2014 season for the Tampa Bay Storm. Played there a couple games, and getting cut in 2014, I think it was May of 2014. I get cut from Tampa. Then I get back here in July of 2014. And Gary Rankin shows up at the job that I had at the Boys and Girls Club in Sevierville. And he's like, hey, I heard that you're back in town. I need some help with my kicking game. Are you down? And I was like, well, you're not going to say no to Alcoa High School. And I've been at Alcoa since 2014 coaching, with the whole, graduating from Carson Newman with a degree in Spanish. One of my goals was to kind of be like a court interpreter. I knew that speaking Spanish was going to help me in one way or another in this life.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up enrolling at the University of Tennessee in January of 2015 to get a teaching degree. I got a master's degree in world language education from UT. And then, like you said, I ended up starting at Hardin Valley Academy. I was there for about three and a half years. And then I went to Northview Academy to move a little bit closer back to home. And then when that position opened up at Alcoa High School to be a Spanish teacher there, now I'm coaching and teaching at the same place. So that feels good.
Well, see, I mean, I just learned something, Carlos. I mean, I didn't know you have a degree from Tennessee. That's news to me. But you see, the passion, for football, a sport that you love since you were 11 years old, and you played at a high level, and you played a couple different stops, and you're teaching it now. You're a fan. You watch football just like all of us. You love football, and so you're watching Tennessee games, and then all of a sudden you start posting highlight calls of the calls in Spanish. Kind of tell me, how did that come about, and when did it start? I know it's been this year, this academic year, but kind of tell us how you started doing that and why.
Absolutely. Being here in the United States now, I became a citizen in 2008. After being here 20 plus years, I have not seen anything, if I may, from my community. At the end of the day, even though I am a United States citizen, I still have my Hispanic roots. And I'm listening to, right now, we're about to be in the Super Bowl, but the last 8 games of the NFL, they have ESPN Deportes that has Spanish broadcasting for the NFL games. And so it all started when we were playing Alabama. And I was like, wait a minute, what if I just started this right here, and I just did a play when Fan went in there on a run for a touchdown. And I was like, what if I just did it from my house, and I just post this video on Twitter? I think it was maybe 45 seconds long. And, aquí viene el quarterback de Tennessee, la ofensiva la más rápida de Tennessee, la más rápida de la nación. Y aquí viene el quarterback, la correrán o la pasarán. Are they going to run it or are they going to pass it? Because you don't know. I'm trying to do it live. I'm trying to bring that excitement. I'm trying to bring the energy. I'm listening to the ESPN announcers. They sound terrible. There's no excitement from any of them. And then as soon as I see that we're running, y aquí viene el número 88, aquí viene Fanny, dale 6. Give him 6, and that's where it all started. And then I post that video on Twitter, and I wake up the next day, and my Twitter's never done this before. I see like the notification, little red color, and it's like 40 plus. So I open it up, and I mean, the video has gone, I think it's like 300,000 views in less than 12 hours. And I'm like, wow. Have we started something here? And then I see And this is when I started learning about quote retweets and all that type of things.
Mm-hmm.
And people are saying, wow, what a huge market this is. Why has this not been done before? And the whole, if I may, like the title was, what if Spanish announcers were announcers for NCAA football? And in the state of Tennessee, we don't have that. We did not have any Spanish sort of broadcasting for our Tennessee Volunteers. So in essence, I was always searching for something that only I could fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
I know that coming to the United States and looking at the University of Tennessee and their mission statement is diversity and inclusion. You know, in the United States, everybody's always looking to just belong. Yeah. And Latinos belong here in Tennessee as well. So I was like, I'm going to take it upon myself to start doing some Spanish broadcasting. And then once that video came out is when WATE started reaching out, WVLT, WVIR, WIVK, Bob Yarborough, you know, very grateful for him. And then it just started climbing and climbing and climbing to the point that I dropped Spanish Rocky Top, the first Spanish authentically translated Rocky Top. That went up to like 500,000 views. Everybody's loving that. So it's just been a movement that is not for me. It's not for me. This is something bigger than anything that we can do. Really, we are reaching a community that belongs to the Volunteers.
Awesome stuff here from Carlos. We're going to get him to sing Rocky Top in Spanish here in a moment. I'm going to ask him some more questions. I know you've seen him on social media. I know you're kind of following along with the stuff he's putting up each and every Tennessee basketball game. And, of course, during football season, all that stuff. Carlos Lopez, Carlos Juan Ward, as you can find him on social media. More with Carlos coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. Hey, guys. The Super Bowl, it's happening this Sunday. It is finally here. And the only app that you need at your Super Bowl party, that is FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Download the free FanDuel app right now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to the spreads to the props, all that type of stuff. Who's going to score a touchdown? Again, I've talked about it all week long. The national anthem time, the Gatorade bath at the end of the game, the coin toss, you know, who touches the football first, who went, you know, all that type of stuff. Those are my favorite things to bet on, and it's you know, Super Bowl Sunday. That's when it's the big. It's there all the time, but that's when it's the biggest because people who aren't familiar with that type of stuff will jump in on that. And maybe I'm talking to you. It's easy, it's safe to use, and you can get in on all that action over at FanDuel Sportsbook. And best of all, you get paid for your winnings instantly. No hassle, no hag whatsoever. So join FanDuel.com today at FanDuel.com/locked-on to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, we're rocking and rolling here on a Friday, guys. It's having fun. I hope you're having a great start to your day. If you're listening to us in the morning, if you're in your cubicle, if you're working out, if you're driving to work, wherever you're listening to us, maybe you're watching us right now on the YouTube channel. Can't thank you enough for hanging out with us today. Special guest on the show today here on Locked On Vols. Again, a guy that I call a friend I go back with. It's Carlos Lopez, Carlos Juan Ward. And you were kind of giving us your starts and how you started kind of doing this for your community and seeing a need and just having fun and seeing, hey, maybe this thing can turn into something. If you can, I know you might not be able to say everything, but how has this created opportunities for you now and maybe in the future?
Well, I think that the most important thing is me being in education is just showing the Hispanic students that I have in front of me on a daily basis that even though we are a minority in this country with close to 70 million in the United States, whatever dreams you have, you can make happen, even if you do already have a career, you know, and I think it's bigger. Again, this is not just for me, but this is just showing my students and showing the next generation that they can do whatever they put their mind to. But with all of this starting up, I've been able to get some sponsorships from, you know, local store Weigel's, local restaurant Craving Wings, local barbershop in the area that they just want to put their business out there, and they have seen the need. I've done some Spanish commercials for kind of for the Weigels, it was strictly Spanish, with those trademark sayings that I have with Dale Seis and Seis Mas and all of that. And with Craven Wings, I was blessed enough to be able to do a commercial with tight end Jacob Warren.
Mm-hmm.
He was incredible in that too. We did a sort of like a little Spanglish type of that, and another big opportunity, God willing. As soon as the Super Bowl is over, I will be reaching out to the Tennessee Titans, and where I have a meeting with Mike Keith. Just to talk, possibilities to see if we can either bring a Spanish voice to Nashville to see what we can work on. Just nothing set on stone, but it's just possibilities. And then on Tuesday, I was down there with the Vol Network doing the same thing, talking possibilities. And I know that they said this is something that they've been wanting to do for the past 10 years. And the first thing I said, it wasn't the right time 10 years ago. It's God's timing to do it now. And I really like what he said, the director there. He said, this is not an if, but this is a when.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they see that this is not a luxury. This is not something like, oh, we're just going to do it for fun. This is a have to. This is something that is going with the diversity and inclusion of the University of Tennessee, and we need this for our Hispanic community.
Well, not only that, I mean, you're serving the people in your community, number one.
Absolutely.
You're giving them an opportunity to take part of your product, number two. And then, lastly, lastly in this process here, it help the University of Tennessee too, if something were to happen in the future, because enrollments and all that type of stuff too. So I think it's just a win-win-win for everything. And I know I speak for many, man. I love your videos out there. Not only are you giving some highlight calls like you have been, but you're also educating on social media as well here lately in the basketball season. I'm
That's
loving
right.
those when you're saying, when you're watching the game and you want to say this, here's what it is in Spanish. I love that.
I started doing a little segment, learning Spanish with Juan Award, and a lot of people are really digging those. So I kind of do, one video a week. That way, just giving people the opportunity to just practice and learn and maybe take notes if they want to do that. But it's definitely, like you said, the most important thing is to have fun. Mm-hmm. And for me, at the end of the day, is to glorify God with everything that I do, because at the end of the day, I am representing now in a different platform now. I am representing Alcoa. I am representing my family, and I'm also, kind of representing the University of Tennessee with my actions. So, I'm glad that I'm in this position.
All right, man. Well, I know we're all looking forward to seeing what's to come in the future. We love the videos right now. Basketball season's going on. You're going to be watching baseball and then being a part of that, I know. So looking forward to that. But before we let you go, if you're watching on YouTube, you see the handle down there. It's Carlos Juan Ward. If you're listening, it's at Carlos Juan Ward. Love that nickname. I need you to drop us a little Rocky Top if you want to. Little Spanish
I'm ready.
Rocky Top.
If you guys know the lyrics, we'll go from the top. Quisiera estar en a Rocky Top allá en la colina, Tennessee. No hay humo de smog en Rocky Top, no hay teléfono ahí. Tuve una chica en Rocky Top, mitad oso y gato. Salvaje como un min, pero dulce como pap, con eso todavía sueño. Rocky Top, siempre serás jugar dulce hogar. Oh, bueno, Rocky Top, woo! Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. There you go.
I got the Rocky Top and I got the woo, so I
There
knew
you
I was
go.
listening to the right song. All right, everybody, I want you to pause it. I want you to rewind it. I want you to listen to it. I want you to learn it, and we're gonna get Carlos back on there, and I'm gonna do it with him here in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna learn it. We're gonna sing it together, man. Carlos, dude, hey, I'm serious, dude. I will talk to you the other day before we did this, dude. I'm sitting back, man. I'm just like, dang, dude, that's cool, man. What you're doing's awesome. So keep it up, dude. And I'm proud of all the success you're having and everything else to come for why you're doing this and everything.
Man, I really appreciate you having me here to continue to spread the mission, continue to spread the movement, and this is something that will benefit the whole state of Tennessee.
Absolutely, man. Carlos, appreciate it, dude, and we'll be looking forward to what you got coming up this weekend.
All right, my brother. God bless. Thank you so much.
Carlos Lopez, again, he is a guy that moved here to the United States, grew up in Seymour, Tennessee, played football, played sports, went to school here, went to an area college in Carson Newman. That's where I met Carlos. Goes on and goes and kicks for MTSU, gains a a degree from the University of Tennessee, kicks a little bit in the Arena Football League, and now he's educating, now he's teaching, now he's spreading the word, now he's doing his thing, and the opportunities for Carlos, they're endless. They truly are, and I am coming from a broadcasting background. I'm a little blown away, too, that there's so few options for the Latin American community in Spanish broadcasting in that regard. So I am a big believer. I'm on board 100%. And looking forward to what Carlos is going to be doing here in the future. So hope you guys enjoyed that. If you liked it a lot, let's get him back on the show here in the coming weeks. I'm sure he would love to come back on. Hey, when we come back, Tennessee baseball. It's getting started next week. Friday's opening nights. It's going to be in Arizona, taking part in the MLB4 Invitational. I had a chance to catch up with Tony Vitello earlier this week at VolQuest.com. I'm going to play part of that interview, and that is coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. Just days away from the start of the Tennessee baseball season, we are joined by Tennessee head baseball coach Tony Vitello. Tony, thanks for being here, and kind of how excited are you? I know it's a little chilly today, a little rainy, but it's been decent weather, and looking forward to a lot of baseball this spring.
Yeah, no, this is fall weather. The artificial surface has helped us a bunch prepare for times like these, which is we're cramming for opening day, and opening day ideally will be a little bit warmer weather in Arizona, but definitely good competition.
How has that off-season training been? I know you get started towards the end of January, really, your first official in-season practice, but had a long, extended fall session. Kind of how's that term been with Q back and getting a full year with those guys?
Yeah, I think with Q, it kind of sets the tone early in the fall, but then also that period where you're really stressed out. They're home for Christmas. You don't know what they are doing and not doing. Yeah. And he's just one more voice that I know keeps the guys accountable. And when they come back in town, regardless of what shape they're in, that's where you got to start with their arm conditioning, their leg conditioning, swings, everything else, and you roll with it. And fortunately, it appears our guys did what they needed to do.
When you look at how dominant last year's team was, obviously, what's the offseason been like in terms of eagerness, in terms of just hunger? You got a bunch of competitors on that team. I know it hurt last year, but obviously knowing that you get a great opportunity right back this year.
I think there's a second year in a row a theme of we want to be our team. Yeah. We want to be this year's team, not whether it's expectations, same personality, same routines. There's a need for some separation there, I think, in our players' minds. And I think it's healthy. Each year does take on its own, kind of little entity on our campus. And then within the league, there's a different kind of vibe that goes on every year too. So the best thing our guys can do is play to their strengths and try and improve their weaknesses, but more than anything, come together as a team, because that's kind of been our formula the last few years, is a tight bond, guys playing for each other, and guys very comfortable around one another.
It's interesting. You pretty much lost every starter in the field from last year. You're having to replace a lot of good baseball players, and you have a lot of guys who have been in the system. You added to it this offseason with Maui and Zane Ditton and Griffin Merritt and all those type of guys. But what are the challenges in trying to replace those established guys at first, and Luke Lipsius, who you said 45-year-old man, and obviously Beck and Gilbert and Russell?
I think it's getting them to pick up where I left off, getting them to play around each other the way that we need to, not necessarily what went on at their old school, or a guy that's now got to play a bigger role like Jarrell, Trey, Cortland did. Now they've got to embrace the role of being an everyday player, whereas before they did such a good job of being kind of platoon guy or whatever was needed from them. So playing together is a huge, huge theme. And I also think, for our guys, they got to be, aware that there's a challenge now. Other people take note of Tennessee baseball. A lot of them are kind of gunning for us. We're probably a little overranked, but that's because, again, the program's gotten more attention. With that comes fans that come to the games, but fans want to see wins. The draft kind of starts to become a topic every year for every college program, but now that we've done well, maybe our guys get scouted a little bit more. So there's new challenges on the horizon, and the best we can do is bow up and face them as best we can.
Well, maybe part of the reason for those high rankings here in the early season is you return a lot of arms. A weekend rotation that was fantastic last year. You added to that with a healthy Seth Haverson and Andrew Lindsay, who you mentioned at the Quarterbacks Club meeting earlier this week. What can you say about the depth and just the quality of guys you have in your staff and in your bullpen?
You don't know what's going to go as the year goes on, but as of right now, I feel comfortable saying it's the deepest staff we've had since we've been here. Coach Anderson, Frank is always going to do a phenomenal job with those guys. Yeah. We've got a hard-working group of catchers. So if you kind of got that deal going on right there, you should be in every game and you should be competitive. And then it's up to us to find a way to score, play good defense behind them, or again, kind of have that X factor where we feel like our guys are playing as hard and together as a unit as anybody out there.
Another group I wanted to ask about is the outfield. You got a lot of competition out there, a lot of returning guys, and of course you added Griffin to that mix there. What should we expect the first couple weeks of the season in terms of trying to kind of figure out who's where?
Yeah, I think you should expect to see some flip-flopping going on. And there's no question it's easiest to play your best when you come to the park every day knowing exactly what is expected of you and what your role is. So it's kind of our job to illustrate to them that's not going to happen. So what you need to be comfortable with is being uncomfortable, kind of, but also not knowing what's going to happen. So take advantage of your opportunities when you're not out there, but also be on your toes and be watching the game when you're maybe on the bench and you have a chance to come off and play later in the game. But we'll do some experimenting, and it's nice to have options. It's the one position defensively where we feel like we can see the present and also the future.
Yeah.
There's some younger guys too. But internal competition has always been something that we want our recruits to seek out, not shy away from, because it helps you mentally and also on the field skill-wise when you're pushed every day by other people.
Tennessee baseball coach Tony Vitello just days away from the start of the new season. One of those guys that is kind of, I don't want to say full-blown outfielder, but a guy that's transitioned to the outfield, Jared Dickey. He's seen some time behind the plate and this position, that position. He's had injuries. What can you kind of say about what you're expecting from him this season?
Yeah, I tease him that he stinks at first base, but that's because that's the minimum or the smallest amount of reps he's gotten at any spot. Otherwise, he's circled around the outfield. He's turned himself into a true SEC catcher and catching prospect for Major League Baseball teams. But like our infield last year, Jarrell, Trey, and Cortland all could have played short, all could have played second, all could have played third. We went with what our best combination is. And right now our best combination might be with Jared in the outfield. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Regardless of what his role is defensively, he's going to be one of our better bats. He's turned himself into a runner, which he wasn't even close to that in high school. And then also he's a leader. Who is going to be the guy that replaces Luke Lipsius's leadership, Drew Gilbert, Evan Russell? I could go on and on and on. Well, it's not going to be one guy, but one guy that's going to pull a lot of weight is going to be Jared Dickey.
You mentioned him in his role behind the plate at times, but you got a full room back there. You got Cal Stark and Rod Miller and, of course, Charlie Taylor. Kind of what's that group look like this year, and should we expect to see a lot of action with a number of different guys back there?
Yeah, I think Ryan Miller's kind of more your bat, offense first almost, and not to discredit the work he's put in back there. Jared's kind of your swing guy, but Charlie and Cal are really similar. I was going to say Landon Gray and Connor Pavoloni kind of had that 1-2 punch where we felt like they were one and the same. Now, with that deal, Landon hit left-handed and Pav hit right-handed.
No.
Both Cal and Chuck are right-handed hitters, but they're capable at the plate. They really throw well. The thing I like most about those guys when on defense, the pitchers really respect them, and there's a great rapport there because of the type of character kid they are.
Lastly, Tony, how you said each team or this group is trying to be their own team. It's not last year's team. A new journey starts, in Arizona. How would this team right now differ from some of the other teams you've had in the past?
I think this team kind of had to start from, point A was a little further back. I don't want to say we were in the negatives or anything, but we didn't have the momentum we had coming into last year. The year before, we had momentum from COVID. We got so many guys back because they shrunk the draft. The year before that, you could feel kind of the building here of we want to be really good, but it's going to take a couple years.
Yeah.
So this is a different deal, and in August, it was a very discombobulated, disjointed, whatever word you want to use, it wasn't a team. And it's been so fun to see them evolve and become a team, but you really don't become a team till you're in the trenches against another team, on the road, at home, it doesn't matter, but it's going to count on your record, and you start to find out stuff about people, and that's right around the corner.
Tennessee and Arizona will square off from Phoenix. That's coming up just in a matter of days for Tennessee baseball. Tony, thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck this season.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Tennessee baseball coach Tony Vitello. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Tennessee baseball coach Tony Vitello. And, hey, he's the man, right? Tennessee's number 2 in 5 national polls, number 5 in another national poll, All-American this, All-Conference that. It's go time for Tennessee baseball. Really, really looking forward to that. And I'll have more coverage leading up to opening night a little bit here on the podcast. I know you guys are here for football, but I know there are some baseball fans out there. Hope you guys enjoyed that from Tony Vitello. Appreciate you guys as always for tuning in. Give us a subscribe on the YouTube page. Go ahead and subscribe there. Like this video. Follow us on Twitter at _Caner and at Locked On Vols. If you guys are going to the game tomorrow night, have fun, be loud, stay safe, of course. Let's do it again on Monday. This is Locked On Vols.